Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 260. 260. Every time I hit these numbers, I think I should be doing something because I guess I've been doing it for so long. It's like now I'm at number 260, so I've been doing this for 260 weeks, but welcome to number 260. Yeah, no fanfare, sorry. I trust you folks are well out there shooting, and that fall light. Oh, God, I love this fall light. It is so gorgeous. I hope you're making every moment count, enjoying it, out there shooting, sharing, playing in the leaves, having a great time. And thanks for taking a moment from your schedule to drop on by. Also want to thank my good friends at Bedford Camera, bedfords.com. Photocon's around the corner, just a couple weeks out. I trust you're going to be there. I'm going to miss it this year. I'm bummed. The schedule filled up and I just can't get there. But I need you to be there. It's going to be a great time. And of course, you're going to be with the folks from Bedford's. Remember, when you're making those purchases, like I just did, that Delkin DD Reader 54, that's a great reader, folks. You can read more about it on the blog. Call them up, in stock, boom, right here at my doorstep. That's the kind of service I love. Of course, I use that special discount, MOOSE. Yes, even I use it. Why not? Saves money. Saves money on shipping. Hey, no sales tax here in Montana. It's a great deal. Bedfords.com. Thank you for sponsoring the Moose Podcast. Well, let's get right to this week's episode. Can't leave them out. I have chased fall color around this country to every corner possible, every possible date. I've been there when there is all green. I've been there when it's all dead sticks. Been there when it's really close to peak, but people say, should have been here yesterday. And all those times, I've never really just felt I was skunked, except for one photograph that I really want. I've tried it a couple times, went down in glorious flames. So I'm heading off to New Hampshire. I'm going to try it again. What's that photograph? I want that photograph of fall. Now, I'm not talking about a hillside covered with aspens like you see in Colorado or the Eastern Sierra. I'm not talking about all those maples and gorgeous trees in Vermont with that little white steeple. Nope, not talking about that either. I'm talking about that shot where you've got the leaves falling in the frame. Now, I don't want just any one leaf. I don't want micro dot leaves. I want you to know when you look at that photograph that the leaves are falling. I've been thinking about this, flying in a plane back from New Mexico, thinking about this. What do I need to make this shot happen? Well, one piece of the puzzle has just kind of fallen into my lap. The one that I didn't think about until it did, and that's the Z14 to 24. What's that piece of the puzzle all about? That lens doesn't flare. Seriously, doesn't flare. And for the way I want to shoot, that's important. I shot with the 1424 FX. I shot with the 1535, the 1328. I mean, I shot with all those, and they flare. They flared big time. And one shot that I thought was going to work, I look at the pictures, and I'm like, the flare is killing the leaves. So that piece of the puzzle is that Z14 to 24, and it doesn't flare. Let me set the scene so you understand what I'm doing. I got to find the right grove with the right light, the right time of day. So what's the right grove? It is somewhat intimate. I can be in the middle, and in my peripheral vision, I can see lots of trunks, and they all go up to the heavens. So I don't want a big, giant grove. I don't want a really teeny grove. I want the medium-sized grove. Next, I need a preponderance of fall color. Whatever it happens to be, yellow or orange or red or combination there is, that's what I want. I want skies. I don't want bald skies. I want overcast skies. I want blue skies with this, streaking of clouds that are clean and white. Yeah, I kind of want everything. I'm looking probably for afternoon light more than morning light, just how I prevision it. And what I'm going to do is set up the Z6 II with the 14 to 24 2.8 with my remote control. So I can fire remotely. I don't want to be in the frame. I don't want you seeing me. I want you looking up and seeing, these beautiful trees coming up to a point in the middle of the frame, this gorgeous light, and then the leaves falling down. So I've got my platypod and my platyball ready for that. I've got another small tripod if I want a little bit more elevation than the platypod. I've got my standard tripod if I need more elevation. I hope I don't. I want it lower to the ground. So I want that grove of trees kind of, intimate. Got all those things set up, but what else do I need to really make it happen? I need leaves to be falling. Now, leaves to be falling tends to mean there's some breeze. Now, I can't have a hurricane. I can't have just a tad. I can't have so much that the trees themselves will be moving and swaying during the exposure. Yet it has to be enough to be knocking off leaves. The fall color, I guess, has to be a tad past peak. And then I have to figure out the exposure. For example, if I'm looking for a lot of depth of focus, then instantly what? I have a slower shutter speed. If I have a slower shutter speed, and if I want to freeze the motion of the leaves, it might blur. But then you got to think about the size of the leaves in the frame so the viewer sees them. And at this point, you might be saying, Moose, you're a bit nuts. But yeah, I've been thinking about this, right? Because if the leaves are, at 14 millimeter or just, sat there and played with, I'm weird. Got some leaves, held them out, had someone held them out 14 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet to see how big that leaf would be in the frame, because leaves falling against a bunch of leaves won't show as leaves falling if they're too small. But then if they're big in the frame, that means they're what? They're closer to the camera. If they're closer to the camera, then depth of focus can really mess you up. And of course, your shutter speed will have to be quicker because the distance they travel is faster as far as the shutter speed is concerned, as the subject's closer to the film plane than further away. Yeah. To get that shot I want, it's not going to be some happenstance, okay, I'll take the picture now kind of moment. I'm going to have to really look and think about it. So I'm going to have to actually dedicate a little bit of time to it. Now, let's just say, I've got the lens, boom, got that part, got the body, boom, got that part, got the means to hold the camera, boom, boom, boom. So all those things are set up. How am I going to go about figuring out if the spot I look at is the spot to spend the time? First of all, I'm going to do a little looking at the weather app, check out what's happening with the winds. Look at the direction of the wind, right? Because I want the leaves to be backlit. If I'm going to go this whole distance, I might as well go for the home run. And the leaves, if they have light on them, dapple light, and it's backlit, they're going to visually pop. And if it happens to be coming down and the background are some leaves in shade, then you can see that leaf falling. So I'm going to look at the weather app. I'm going to look at the clouds. I'm going to think about those scenarios. It's really important to kind of map that out. Then, with that in mind, I'm going to set up the camera. I'm going to use SnapBridge. And I'm going to use SnapBridge to look at the pictures on my iPhone so I don't have to keep going up to the camera to shoot. Now, why is that? Well, Murphy's Law. It seems to just It seems to be in my shoulders, in my pockets, my camera bag. It seems to be everywhere. And I know for a fact that the moment I walk up to the camera to see if I got a shot or what I'm looking for, at that very moment, everything's going to line up and the perfect leaf is going to come down. And it's going to be like slow motion. It'll be like Forrest Gump. I'll see this leaf going whoosh, 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 right to the camera. And who's going to have their big ugly mug in that frame during that whole leaf? Moi. So with SnapBridge, I can see what I took a picture of, not get in the way of my camera, and still keep firing. Got a plan. Now, part of my plan, and I'm not really 100% sure how this is going to work out, but thinking about it, is a polarizer. Now, a polarizer I use a lot when it comes to fall color. That's because it removes reflections. What reflections, you're going to ask? Darn good question. It's going to remove the reflection of that blue sky. I want to get rid of that blue color cast in those beautiful leaves because then the colors really start to pop out. Now, remember, it's an angle of incident, angle reflection kind of scenario when it comes using a polarizer. In other words, when you polarize a tree, not every single leaf is in the same position and angle. So even though you're polarizing the tree, some leaves will still have shine to them, some won't. That's just because they're angle of incident, angle of reflection. So I tend to rotate the polarizer. I go slowly a couple times. I do a few 360s with that polarizer, looking at the trees, trying to maximize the polarization for where I want it in the frame. So then in my mind, is it possible if I'm pointing up, one, will the polarizer have an effect? Because it's a really weird angle to the trees. Will I have to point the camera a little bit more in one direction of this grove, or can I point it straight up and make the polarizer work? Two, can I rotate the polarizer so part of that area isn't going to be polarized, and then that area is where the leaves are coming, so then the leaves will be popping more visually from the light and polarized, not polarizing? Three, that polarizer sucks up 2 stops of light. And that 2 stops of light could make the shutter speed so slow that I might have to raise the ISO. I hate doing that. I do it every so often, but I don't like doing that. And then what will happen to my exposure? Because when I use a polarizer, personally, I always tend to dial in plus a third. I do that to get rid of the polarizer effect, as in the darkening of things. I don't want things darker. I just want to remove that blue reflection. So between the polarizer and that, I'm losing 2 1/3 stops. That could really just like shoot the whole idea down the tubes. Now, I've got all this going in my head, and then it pops in my mind because I see people doing things like, they go to the NASA website and they grab their star field picture and they put it in their landscape and say, I took the star picture. The only problem is, hey, dude, the one who put the Southern Cross over the delicate arch, yeah, Southern Cross dude is like the other side of the planet. It doesn't go over the arch. Anyway, other things like that. Hey, could I take a handful of leaves? And I throw them in the air. They float down. I go clickety, clickety, click. I personally would, and I know this sounds weird, I'd rather just have Mother Nature let them float down. But I have thought, after jumping through all these other hoops, and at this point, you might be saying, boy, this is a lot of planning just to get a picture of, leaves coming down. But, right, if I need only a certain amount of wind, I can maybe make my own wind with throwing some leaves. And don't think it didn't run across my mind having a leaf blower with me. Yeah, right? I'm not shooting video. You wouldn't hear it. And I can make the wind at where I want it and make the leaves fall. Yeah, I thought of that too. But yeah, I'm flying to New Hampshire, so the leaf blower doesn't fit in the luggage. But the point is, And it's a long-winded point. Fall color is fall light is something just that we should celebrate in our photography. And just because you've done it before, don't think you have done it. And if you think you've done it, how can you do it better? How can you tell that story to grab more folks' attention? There's a lot of people who never experience fall, like they don't experience winter. So perhaps get past your comfort range. Look at all these variables, do a little testing. And when you get out, you might just find that that fall color and fall color photography takes on a whole new, meaning in your head because what? You're pushing yourself. You're pushing your photography. There is the chance that failure could follow. To me, that's kind of like living on the edge. I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. So I'm going out to New Hampshire looking for that fall color. Can't leave them out. Want to thank you folks for stopping on by. Enjoy the week. Get out there and shoot. And remember to make every click your story.